We are all Soul Sisters, and welcome to our new chat series, Sisters Speak on It, where we celebrate all things, all souls, and anything that feeds our soul. Welcome, because you are a soul sister too. Hello, I am Kathy Harmon, one half of All Soul Sisters, and this is...
Hi, I'm Vita, the other half of Also.
And we are here with Olivier Huband, who has come on our radar for a couple of reasons, but mainly because he is Fernando in season 3 of A Discovery of Witches. And since then, of course, we've discovered a whole lot of other stuff, including your band. So we'll talk about that. And so say hello.
Hey guys, it's a pleasure, a complete pleasure. I'm trying to think of how to say pleasure in Portuguese. Prazer, gran prazer from Fernando, and a big pleasure from Olivier. So thank you for having me.
I'm glad you did. I was we're going to ask you about your Portuguese, but we
don't
want
Yeah. Yeah, I've jumped in early with that so that you know that I'm not fake.
That's okay.
So I have a question. Did you grow up speaking Portuguese? Is that a language you learned later in life, or?
Yeah, exactly. So when I was at school, they offered it alongside all of the customary languages that you have to learn at school. There was a teacher who was related to another teacher who came in and said, listen, if there's enough interest, I can offer Portuguese as like a kind of subsidiary course or like a extracurricular course. And I was like, yeah, man, I mean, I love Brazilian films and I love Brazilian music. Why don't I just try it? So initially I was just doing it for fun, and then I actually picked it up and did it for GCSE, which is obviously our kind of equivalent of when we're 15, it's the exams that we take when we're 15. But then I carried it. Then I stopped doing Portuguese and I did other languages. And then when I applied to university, before I went to acting school, I went to university and I studied Portuguese. I did French and Portuguese for 4 years. So I lived in Portugal and everything. So it's just a weird kind of happenstance, coincidence that I got given this part and the character spoke Portuguese. And also, in the script initially, there was no Portuguese. It was my suggestion to the producers that I speak Portuguese as soon as I could. They were like, great, try it. And then it's kind of stayed, which was happy accident, basically.
Oh, I can't wait.
Nice. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. So, which kind of brings us in. I know you can't talk a lot about it, Discovery of Witches, because it's, season 3 and you can't go into that too much. But now I have a question. Did you and Steven, did you know each other before A Discovery of Witches, or did you become friends through the show?
Through the show. So I knew of him because, believe it or not, I auditioned for Gallaglass in season 2. So I auditioned for Gallaglass. There was rumors that they wanted Gallaglass to potentially be black at one point.
Oh, okay.
So myself and I know of one other actor who's a friend of mine. He also auditioned, and I had a recall, and I met the directors, and of season 2, and I auditioned for Gallaglass, and potentially that's why I was on their radar when season 3 auditions came around. But when I found out that I didn't get it, and I found out who got it, and I was like, oh, it's Scottish actor Stephen Cree. And then I met his wife, because his wife is a casting director, very, very successful and brilliant casting director, called Callie Crawford. And I did a job. She cast me in a series. The last job I did before Discovery. It's an amazing series called I Hate Susie with Billy Piper. And so she told me in the auditions that her husband was doing a Discovery of Witches. So, all this time I'd heard lots about Steve, but then completely out of the blue, I get this call about this other part in Discovery of Witches. Get that, and it turns out that he's obviously Gallaglass's like father, or you know what I mean. So Steve kind of went from being this like mythical stepdad, but Steve went from being this kind of Scottish mythical creature that I'd heard about to becoming like kind of my best friend on the job. So
nice.
It's a beautiful thing. Nice. So no, we didn't know each other, but now we know each other very well. I told him today that I was doing this, and he was like, "Oh, wonderful people, wonderful people."
No, it looked as if in the trailer, that clip with you two, even though you're not saying anything, it just looked like you all had a lot of good chemistry with each other.
I guess you call it a bromance in a way. Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Steve and I, yeah, I suppose because we spent so much time together. A lot of our stuff, a lot of the more like poignant emotional scenes, especially I guess in
Mhm.
his journey. In his journey, there's like these power plays and these
Yes.
kind of emotional twists that keep happening throughout
Mhm.
all these different characters.
you.
Uh,
Fernando
mm,
has a relationship with everybody. You know,
mm,
he provides different levels of comfort for different characters. And so that's another reason why we were excited that you were cast, because Fernando is
Mhm.
another
mm,
fan favorite
mm.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I think so, and I can feel that already, even
Mhm.
from just being announced. I could feel how much people really cherish Fernando as a character,
Mhm.
which is an amazing thing. I think with season three, and I'm not, you know, I think we've done the show. I think you really do get to see how Fernando basically acts as somewhat of an emotional crutch for a lot of people, and he
Yeah,
has
Mhm.
these individual scenes with different people, which you do
yeah,
with Marcus, you know,
That
with
would be
everyone.
nice.
You do get to see that, which is wonderful, and that's a really nice thing to play. The
Mhm.
humanity of him, and you know, he's the oldest. He's the oldest guy. He's the oldest guy in the house. But Fernando really is kind of steadies the ship when things start to kind of to rock, you know,
Mhm.
and things start to
Yeah.
feel a bit imbalanced and out of kilter, and that's a really wonderful thing.
Yeah.
I still wear his rings. I still wear the rings they gave me for Fernando.
Oh, wow.
It's a proper, you know, he's really stayed with me. It's a really beautiful
Yeah.
character in terms of
Good.
you know his cultural heritage, his history, you know the racial aspect, the religious
Mhm.
aspect, you know all that stuff that although can't necessarily be seen on screen, is
Yeah.
living inside me when I'm working on it and when I started creating the
Nice.
character myself. And I
Nice.
think that's a really, you know, it's quite rare that you get given characters as beautiful as that. You know, I'd love for Fernando to have his own spin-off series. You know,
Yeah.
like you know that'd be
Oh, wouldn't
amazing.
we
You know,
all?
you never
Yes.
know.
Yes,
You never
yes.
know.
yeah,
Yes.
it's amazing. It's such an
Yeah.
amazing thing when you realize that people really appreciate and
Yeah.
you know adore these stories. I mean, I don't know if you guys knew, but we finished filming when they announced it. We'd already done. We had to do it because of COVID and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
We kind of had like a time frame in which to get it done. Season two came out whilst we were still filming season three,
Yeah.
and so we didn't want to do the announcements of season three before season two had even come out. So they were
Yeah.
like, we'll wrap on three, give it a bit of time. But that's why I think they had to then, rather than drip feed the castings, they were like, everything, like, you know, they got in touch with us, they were like, every day we're going to release everyone.
Yeah.
But when I saw, because you forget who's already in it and who's new. But when I saw
Mhm.
who they'd added, like me and Parker and Toad and stuff, I was like, Christ, it's such a great team sheet of people.
I know. I
They,
know.
So
It's
good.
I really hope the casting people get some sort of awards, because
Mm,
they've done an incredible job
mm, mm,
casting
mm.
the actors for these roles. I
Mhm.
mean, it's to the point now where because we reread the books, of course.
Yeah.
We can't see the characters outside of the actors who played it.
I think it's also interesting that when people say stuff like, especially when you're playing characters that are, you know, essentially literary characters, beloved by people, and when you read, you tend to create the character in your mind. And so when people say stuff like, "Oh, he's not what I had pictured him," but then watch it and go, "Oh my god, he's perfect," that's when you're like, "Wow, the casting people, the producers, everyone who's gotten together to create this audio visual, like you know, this piece, it's
Mhm.
such a skill because you don't always want to go, we're going to match a description word for word down to the minutiae that you see on this page. You go, actually, this might translate better if it's slightly different on the screen, you
Mhm.
know? Also, Deb Hartman, she sent me a picture of the person that Fernando's based on, a painting, and I look
Mm.
identical to him before we'd even
Wow.
met.
Oh
She was like,
wow!
Wow.
she sent me a picture on her phone, and I'll post it when we start doing publicity and it starts to kind of come
Mhm.
out, obviously. But yeah, she sent me this picture. She was like, "This is who I based Fernando on. Look at this," and I was like, "Wow." And my
Yeah.
hair and stuff it's all my hair. It's not wigs or beards or anything. Fake beards. It's all mine.
Oh,
And I
wow.
already look like that because I'd been away. I'd been on holiday. I wasn't working. I'd been in France for 6 weeks, like just soaking up the sun and just being
Nice.
healthy and having a good time. I came into the job and I kind of was like already looking like Fernando had lived on the Iberian Peninsula for like thousands of years or whatever. So it was all kind of weird, like synchronicity of
Mhm.
things that all kind of merged all at once, which is again, just such a strange
It was
and wonderful
destiny.
thing.
It's
Yeah,
definitely.
Yes.
that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. And have you seen this kind of I don't usually like the word colorblind casting, but this is probably as close to anything I've seen in any show that
Yeah,
I've watched.
yeah. I think I talked to a lot of actors about this. Was the idea to then initially have a, was it literally like, we don't know what this person looks like, we're going to try everyone, or was it like,
Mhm.
we know it's going to be a Caucasian male,
Mhm.
but we'll try other people of other ethnicities out to see.
Mhm.
And it's
Yeah.
upsetting. It feels a bit patronizing, and it happens a lot. It does happen a lot. I've been quite
Mhm.
fortunate in the sense that when I first started working in the business, I would go up for everything. Naturally, you would. You'd
Mhm.
just be throwing yourself at the wall and seeing if you stuck. But then
Yeah.
after a while, now especially, it's all finesse for me. Like I'm always now
Mhm.
going up to parts which are, African American male, or
Mhm.
a black male or black British male. It's always tailored to what I look like. So I haven't actually
Mhm.
had to deal with that issue recently. Thank God I'm Fernando. Yeah, in response to your question, I think there is a kind of it feels like it doesn't feel like a whitewashing in the industry at all.
Mhm.
But I think there's so many stories to be told that don't involve Caucasian folk. Like there are so many
Yeah.
stories. It doesn't need to be colorblind casting doesn't need to exist. It's actually what it's about is writing material or content that is either made for non-white actors,
Mhm.
or it's about going back to the drawing board and be like, this is actually colorblind. Like this is not.
Yeah.
I have no preconceived idea of what this is going to look like. And
Mhm.
I think because of everything that's been happening recently, especially with you know um, with racism in
Yes.
all fields, in all areas, I think it's changing.
Mhm.
It's taking a while.
Yeah.
It's taking time.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Taking a little time.
what we like about the cast for the show. I mean, we love the book, but they changed up a lot of characters in the show.
Mm,
Um,
Mhm.
that like Agatha's character, and of course then Nathaniel in the first season, the librarian Sean. So they
mm,
changed a lot, and I think it's made but then Deb has a lot of had diversity in her book.
mm.
But yeah, the show did change some,
Mhm.
and I think for the better for it.
Like I think it's never been a case of her seeing fantasy as being a kind of. I mean, vampires in general are a kind of white patriarchy. Like, if we're really honest, like
Yes.
that's how it's been
Yeah.
portrayed for such a long
Yeah.
time. But
Yeah.
and it's always all money and wealth. I mean, Matthew, who plays
Mhm.
Matthew, couldn't be
Yeah.
more of a vampire. Like he is a vampire in your mind. That's what he looks like. He's like
Yeah.
a modern Dracula.
Yeah.
But I think Deb never wanted it to be solely that storyline. It's about telling the range of it. It's about telling the
Mhm.
whole range of it, and not having just witches be women. It's like there's a whole range of it. It's about busting
Mhm.
those myths, and
Yeah.
it's about being as inclusive as possible. Yeah,
And we
yeah,
were
yeah.
so glad that Adele's casting actually was one of those cases where they really kind of flipped the script in terms of who they
Mm,
had in that role. It was great. Um,
mm,
but interestingly, when you're talking about casting and going out for Black American roles, I assumed you were British when I saw you who was cast as Fernando. Then
yeah.
I heard your voice in a
Mm.
commercial. It's like sort of like a short you did,
Oh,
and I was
yeah,
like,
that.
"Oh," and I'm like,
Yeah,
"Wait a minute, is he American or is
I
he
know she
British?" I
asked
was
me, and
not
I was like,
I
"No,
couldn't
she's
tell. I
she's
really
British."
couldn't tell.
And she said, "Did you hear that commercial?" I said, "Yeah,
And I
I
was
heard
like, "I
it."
thought he was British." And she
Are
was
you
like,
I
sure?
I think he is." And
I'm
I
taking
was
that as a
just
huge compliment. I'm taking that as a huge compliment.
I think I asked you on Twitter, I was like, "Are you American or British?" Because I couldn't tell after that.
I think that's a huge compliment.
Well, shit, you
No,
really and it's not just the accent. There was something about well, like, I mean, obviously the timbre in your voice, that all comes from the
yeah,
same
yeah,
place,
yeah,
but
yeah,
there was a nuance that many people miss,
In the
yeah,
cake.
and it was there, and there's certain cadence, and and I
yeah,
just
yeah,
said,
yeah, yeah.
"Wow," because, yeah, I could not tell.
That
I
was a
really
really
Thank you,
good
could
thank
not
you.
tell.
commercial. It
And it
really
was
No, that's
nice, it was smooth, and it
beautiful,
was like
beautiful.
butter.
I mean, that's not even that was actually a friend of mine went to New
Mhm.
York. I don't know how many years ago, and he just shot the footage just for himself. He shoots like commercial films and documentaries and stuff.
Mhm.
He just went to New York for a bit. He was living in LA for a while. Went to New York and just shot this footage, and he dug it up, and he was like, "Listen, I'm doing a pitch for a job. I'd love if you did a voiceover so I can edit." It's a beautiful
Wow.
short film,
It
It
is.
really is. It
really
really
beautiful.
is.
I
It
hope you got
really
the
I
is.
job.
will. Hey,
Yeah,
that's really
really.
good. I'll tell my team. I'll tell my team that you think that I sound American. That you thought I was American.
Projects. I see that you're going to be in Becoming Elizabeth. Is
Yeah,
that stars?
that's God.
Okay.
Outlander territory. See,
Mhm.
Becoming Elizabeth is the same casting director as Discovery of Witches. The same
Ah,
casting director.
okay.
She's Julie Harkin and Ray Hendry. They're incredible. But I actually finished on that. I finished on that last week. So I
Oh,
was
okay.
working on it. I started on that a week after Discovery of Witches.
Oh, wow.
And
So
we wrapped season one. I'm going back to the wrap. Can't really say that, can I? Is it illegal to have a wrap party? I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna go
okay.
see them. I'm gonna go see them because they wrap for good in about 2-3 weeks time.
Okay.
For season one, I mean, there's a potential for this show to last like 4 or 5 years.
Oh,
So
Oh,
good.
wow. Oh, I hope
yeah,
so. That would be
it's a
nice.
great story. It's pre Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth the
Hmm.
first. It's Elizabeth from childhood. Well, like not childhood, but
Mm.
from the day Henry VIII dies is when it starts, and then
Ah.
it charts
Okay.
their ascension all the way through to queenhood
Mhm.
and beyond and stuff.
So just know this that, and I'm not trying to, fill up your calendar, but
I've got nothing to do. Do it.
you
Do
have nothing to do. So when season 3 comes out, you're
it.
gonna have to binge and live with the people over there that binge, but then you're gonna have to come back and do live tweeting with us sometimes as we
That's
doing like
fine. I'd
season.
love to.
So
Yeah, that'll be
I'm
fun.
not
I'd love
I'm,
to.
I'm not trying to fill up your calendar. I'm just
No,
trying
no,
to
no, no,
find
no,
out
no.
some
Yeah,
things.
you are. Yeah, you are.
Hey,
Yeah, you are.
it's part of the service. It is
Yeah.
part of the service.
Okay.
Fernando will do anything for anyone. He
We
knows
have to
it.
have things to look forward to now. I
He
mean,
knows
Yeah.
it.
and,
I didn't realize how big this beautiful
Yeah.
beast was. You know, like when you enter into something like this, it's a fantasy, and you're playing someone who is a fantasy character. Like it's a whole, it's like it's a different kind of thing. You know,
Mhm.
you're in a family. I've actually got my discovery of which is candle burner. They gave me a candle at wrap.
oh,
Oh,
that's really
oh.
nice.
Beautiful, right?
Oh, I want one.
It,
It
yeah,
is. It
Nice, right?
is. Yeah.
Um,
very nice.
um, but what was you saying? You were saying about jobs and stuff. Yeah, so it's
Mhm.
Becoming Elizabeth is finished. I
Yeah.
have also been shooting a very, very, very good, brilliant political drama for Sky,
Mm.
which I started filming in March and I finish in
Okay.
3 weeks. So I've been doing,
Oh,
I've
wow.
been bleeding, and it's
Mm.
very timely for the UK and about certain
Okay.
people in the UK.
Okay,
And
we'll
it's
wait.
Oh.
and yeah,
We
so
don't
that's all you need to know
trouble.
really.
Okay. We'll
But
watch
yeah,
for it.
yeah, I'll make you'll see it. I'll be tweeting it, tweeting it, and
Okay.
all that kind of stuff. But you'll be pleased to know that this weekend it is
Mhm.
Edward Blumel's birthday, so I will be with many people from the cast this weekend. Who else will be there? Toby will be there. Aisha will be there. Adele will be there. We will be there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we love them,
Yeah, they're
obviously.
great. They're
Yeah,
great
they
people.
are. Well, tell them also Sister said hi, and they'll say, "Who?" Like, just go on
Okay.
Twitter and find them.
You're not full time. You're not full time Blacklander and Soul Sisters. You have jobs.
No,
I'm
I
actually
have 2 day jobs. Okay.
I know. I'm
Wow.
actually a GP by training, and,
What?
yeah. So when
That's
I
so good.
discovered Outlander, I didn't even know there was such a thing as a fandom. I just
Yeah.
was watching it, and then I saw Blacklanders, and I was like, "What? You mean there's other people who actually watch
Wow.
this show?" And I met Vita, and that's actually how I got involved in really Outlander events. I never in a million years thought I would ever do anything like this.
Yep, and so for me, I have a day job, and then I also
Mhm.
teach at Rice University. So our semester just ended. That's why
Yeah.
Kathy was saying I couldn't do it on Wednesdays because that's the day I have my
Yeah.
class.
Yeah. So she's a professor.
Yeah, it's been fun because it gives another
Mhm.
outlet, like for us to be able to talk with someone like you. not only
Yes.
because you're a fan favorite, but for
mm,
you to take the time just to explain certain things, what goes
of
on
Mhm.
the sets and you
mm,
know
mm, mm,
how this character has affected you, gives us
Mhm.
a better appreciation of what's going on. And then
of
plus,
course.
like for me, I'm just nosy. I just want to know.
Just wondering, how long have you been doing Soul Sisters and Flatlanders? How long has it been for now?
Blacklanders has been 5 years.
Right. Okay.
And also, sister. Okay, I actually created the Twitter account in 2019, but didn't really
Mm-hmm.
do anything really with it until the middle of last year during COVID
Okay.
when we had time.
Okay.
And
Of course.
then and Vita decided to help build it because she has far more followers in Blacklander than we do in
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
also
Of course.
Sisters.
Yeah.
And
Of course.
so I started learning Twitter and fandom
Mm.
and other stuff at the same time, and putting up with my daughter saying, "Mom, that's so weird that you're on Twitter. Stop posting." you know, she was like, "Oh my gosh, like my mom is one of those people," and I'm like, "Yep."
But you
My
know what?
mom's a fan.
But you know what
I
else?
know.
The fandom done? Not only it started with Outlander and then with a Discovery of Witches, is that we've been able to connect with people all over the world.
Yeah,
Hmm.
We
absolutely. Absolutely.
global fandoms, and
Yeah,
without them, I don't know if I would connect with a lot of those people. I mean, all over
yeah,
the world.
yeah.
Mm.
It's just an amazing thing to
Experience.
be able to experience that.
Mhm.
You
Mm.
Well, and we
Mm.
didn't start this chat though series until last October,
Okay.
and everyone but one person has agreed to do it. Every single
How many
person we've
people?
asked.
Who? How many? Has it been predominantly for Discovery Witches or other stuff as well?
Well, for us, it's been only a discovery of witches.
well,
Yeah.
except for Joe.
Who's that?
He does the wine. He's the
Except for
he's
Joe,
the he's
Joe
He's
the
the
does
guy
the
that
show.
interviews them on the wine show with Matthew and that.
no.
Mhm.
Well, he does the wine show with Matthew Good and James Purefoy and Dominic West and Matthew Reese is the other
Mm-hmm.
one. And
Mm-hmm.
but because of Matthew Good, all of the Discovery of Witches fans watched the wine show.
Yeah, of course.
So since he's the host of the show and he's interesting and he's funny, we're like, hey, you want to come on our
That
that
makes
show?
sense.
And he's
Oh
like, sure.
wow.
So he did our show, and the
Yeah, but
hardest part really is that people who are active on Twitter, it's relatively easy for us to get in touch with people and then ask them whatever. But if for anyone who's not on Twitter, it's hard because obviously they get a lot of requests, they get a lot of fan things, and we're sort of like the non-fan fans, so it's kind of
yeah, of course.
we're not
You're
very
like you're like
persistent.
you feel like my buddies. You feel like you're like my godbrothers. You know what I mean? It's like
Well,
I
hey,
like
it's
that.
funny.
So it's just cool. It's just fun. It's a fun way of getting to meet people and learning, and what I'm amazed by is that you've been doing so much because one of the main things that people have been saying is that because of COVID, like work fell off.
I mean, honestly, Kathy, it's been a real tale of two kind of halves, if you like. For
Mhm.
me, I was for 6 months. I went home to my parents. For 6 months, I was
Okay.
living at my parents' house, making music on
Okay.
my own, just like
Okay.
built like a makeshift studio, and I just made music. And I like wrote stuff, made music, and I'd been
Mhm.
doing a play. I was doing a play in Scotland, and I came back,
Okay.
and I was like, oh, it's only going to be a few weeks. This little virus that it's not going to affect anyone. And then obviously, little did we
Yeah.
know, a year and a half later. But yeah, so I kind of made my peace with the fact that I probably wouldn't work for a while. I was like, it's all good. I might not work till 2021, 2022, whatever.
Mhm.
And that was April 2020, and in August 2020, I was doing like read throughs and like I did a play for the radio, and I was doing like bits and bobs, like enough to like and get by. But then went to France in
Mm.
June and on my birthday, it was like August time. So like beginning of August, I went to France and I was there all the way through to early September. I was there for like 5 weeks, and
Okay.
then in September I was like, you know what? I haven't seen a single person other than my parents, my sister, and my dog for like 5 months. I booked a holiday, and that's the best way to get an acting job is to book a holiday because it's just sod's law that you're going to end up getting the job. So I was like auditioning for bits and bobs. I auditioned for Elizabeth, actually, becoming Elizabeth back then, but then it went cold because they weren't sure when they were going to shoot, and then I ended up getting it much later. But I set this thing called Discovery Witches, and I'd been availability checked, which is always a good sign. It means like, are you free, basically, rather than being like it's just an audition. It's like, oh, actually, it's a bit more than an audition. So I booked this holiday to Berlin. I was like, I'm going to go to Berlin for 3 weeks. Get to Berlin. 4 days in, I get a call being like, you've got to come back for a fitting because you've got Fernando. I'm like, oh, what? Obviously, it's a first world problem because I'm like, I want to stay in Berlin and have fun. But actually, and I was also, here's another thing. I was also meant to only work for 5 weeks. It was only going to be 5 weeks, which turned into 13 weeks.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, but that also it sounds like a testament of the work and the energy and the passion that you brought to the role.
Yeah.
That's it. That says a lot about you. And now I'm really excited.
Like, I love playing this part. He's got a great arc. I'm even happy. There's even days where like I would be standing there and I wouldn't have lines, but I'd be like, yeah, man, this is great. Like, I look, ladies, I look so fly. My outfit. I mean, did you not see when Edward was live tweeting on Twitter?
Yeah.
And someone was like, who's your favorite character? And he was like, Fernando, wait till you see his clothes.
Oh,
oh man.
I mean, I would never be as well dressed on camera ever again. Like my shout out to Molly Rowe. She is incredible. Her and I worked together to create the coolest, man. I mean, he's
oh gosh. Who came up with the name Sunglasses for Jaws?
So, can I really say this on camera? So,
we can always edit it out.
I can say it. It's a bit lewd. So, Oscar and Dave. I'll tell you. So Oscar and Dave are my bandmates. So it's 3 of us. I mean, it sounds like a lot more of us. The reason they have that name, and I'm going to tell you, ladies, and I'm sure you've had your experiences of drugs. So they went to a pub. They came into a pub in London, and they'd been taking drugs, and they had sunglasses on their eyes. And someone came up to them and was like, because they'd been taking drugs, they were obviously gurning. They were quite high and they were gurning. Someone went up to them and went, "Hey guys, you should probably put the sunglasses on your jaws to stop you from moving your mouth." And they were like, "That's brilliant." And so they
sunglasses for Jaws. That is the coolest story, actually.
It's all right. That's cool. I don't think it's not. I'm not going to get arrested for saying that, but I think it's fine.
No, I mean, the statute of limitation is long past. We don't know what you're
exactly. It's not boring. It's not simple. It's not kind of. It's just like it is what it is. Listen to the music. That speaks for itself, I think. But yeah, I really appreciate. I mean, I'm so grateful for the Discovery Witches fandom. The fact that they're interested in the music. They love the music. Like Dad was really like Teresa. Everyone, they've all really plugged the music, which has been amazing.
I wonder. I hope they put some in because they've been using contemporary music for a lot of the episodes.
Discovery Witches is a bit more sentimental. The music's a bit more sentimental and a bit more kind of ethereal. Our music's a bit more kind of like our music's a bit closer to the bone.
Well, there's a couple of songs that I think would kind of fit. You're laying on a dock somewhere.
Oh yeah, woke up from something. That one.
Yeah, that.
Hey, look, in the Fernando spin-off, that will be the title track.
Because that's a good song, and I love the video.
That's the one. That was all. I'm actually very proud of that. I wrote the song basically, and then we kind of brought it to life. And then I wrote the treatment for that music video. I was like, this is what I want to do. Like, let's just shoot it, and we did it on no money. And I'm really happy with that. I'm very proud of that. The album drops on the 4th of June. Yeah, here I'm plugging it. Hey guys,
please.
Fernando Gonzalez. The album, Sunglasses Jaws album, Everybody's Made a Buzz, drops on the 4th of June. Love you guys. How's that?
Now, I have a question? Because normally what I do at the end, when I edit, I'll put a song at the end. Can I use that song and say 100%. With it? Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
Please do.
Okay.
100%.
And I'll say it's yours. And okay, good. because that
Tell them to, yeah,
it's perfect.
that's great. That is absolutely,
Yeah.
thank you, Kathy. I appreciate that. That's
Well,
brilliant.
see,
No, it's
another
a
that's
good one.
another thing that we try to do with these interviews is to try to, just be another conduit for you to get some exposure.
Steve was talking to me about conventions.
They have panels, like some fan panels, and those can be fun.
Mhm.
I've done a
Yeah, I think
couple of
I'm gonna
those.
do. I think he told me about a panel that I think I'm gonna do on Zoom.
Okay. Oh, you have to
That could
let
be
us
fun.
know so we'll
Oh
get it
yeah,
Oh
on
yeah,
let
the
us
100%.
can join
yeah.
to be able to have one-on-one small group conversations with individual people.
Yeah.
I found that to be really, really nice.
Which species is your favorite?
My favorite? Okay, I'm
We were gonna ask
probably a
you that.
demon. Well, I'm probably a demon just because I'm generally artistic and
Yeah.
I'm a musician also, and that generally
Cool.
kind of uh falls within demons, but then I think that my intuitiveness would make me more of a witch. I
Okay.
don't know. But I'm not
I
a
think I
vampire.
think
Well, Kathy,
I'm
that's the end of us. That's the end of us, Kathy. That's the end of our
yeah.
conversation.
I think I
Vina,
think I'm
over to
I
you.
think
You got to make this
I think
work.
I'm a vampire. I mean,
That's
Vita,
it.
you're a vampire. That's not
yeah,
even a
I
question.
am. I'm
Vita's a
not a
vampire.
yeah.
That's not even a question. Not even. Yeah. However, if I
Indeed.
had to pick a character to be in A Discovery of Witches, it would be Fernando, though.
Oh, stop!
No, really. No, no,
Stop!
no. Even before, in my books, like my favorite character actually in the books is Gallo Glass.
Yeah.
But for
Mhm.
myself, if I identified most with Fernando.
Fernando's like the struggle in like
Hmm.
of everyone. Like he's gay and he's black and he's
And
Muslim. They've
yes,
gone do. You know what I
just
mean?
like
Like
check, check, check,
he
check,
has to
check.
deal with all of the causes. He's the guy that's like, yeah, I can't turn up because I've got to deal with like this brotherhood and like these people and like, do you know
Uh,
what I mean? Which is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
But I
So it
think it's funny, like asking people about species and stuff. I think playing a character like this, playing a vampire like such as Fernando, makes you go, oh my god, vampires don't all have to be assholes. They can be
Yeah,
like they can have loads of humanity in them.
yeah,
Like I see Fernando as like a dude like who's done it all. Like I was like
yeah.
around when Jesus was around. You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like I've seen it. I've
I
seen it,
know.
man.
Yeah.
Like in my head when I was plotting it all, like I placed myself at all of the big events. Like I placed myself at Malcolm's death. I placed myself at
Mm,
the Reverend King's death. Like I was there for all of
mhm,
that. So I've seen all of this stuff happen. Like, and
mhm.
that's a great. That's a beautiful. That's me taking artistic license. That's like my own
Yeah.
taking artistic liberty to go.
Mhm,
What can I do? I can be there. When Ghana got independence, I
mhm,
was there. When Biggie got independence, like I was there all of it. But
mhm.
coming to deal with a few family issues is
Yeah.
like it's cool. Like I got
But
this.
you know what? But you know what the best part of this is, and the casting and you being in it?
Mm.
Just now you mentioned Malcolm, and neither one of us had to ask Malcolm who.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah,
You
100%.
know, what I'm saying is that doesn't happen very often. It doesn't happen
Yeah,
often
yeah,
for
yeah,
us.
Right.
And
yeah,
so it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
nice. But but the other character, Chris.
He's like your guy's link up to like Ransom. Like, but he's the
Yes.
contemporary human. You know what I mean? He's the contemporary
Yes.
African American human. Ivano
Yes.
is like one of the most amazing people, amazing actors ever. Like you're in for such a treat with him. He's
I
so
just
good.
can't wait.
We just
Um,
we just can't wait. So what we
some
normally
people thought some people thought it was Ivano playing Fernando and me playing Chris.
Oh,
Did
really?
you see that?
no, we
Some
want
people
you to
saw
be
that.
Fernando.
Wait, they mixed you, they flipped you?
Some people thought I was, cause before everything got ready. Like Teresa was like teasing the fans. She like took a photo of all of us.
Oh.
We had like masks on, and everyone was like, both me and Nirvana were in the photo. They were like, "Is that to me?" They were like, "Is that Chris? Is that?" I think some people weren't sure. And then obviously,
Yeah. See?
you should get
Yeah.
Ivano in if you can. Get Ivano in if you can.
Who?
Okay. Is he on
Ivano,
Twitter?
he's on Twitter. Yeah, he's on Twitter.
Okay. Because the thing is with Twitter, you can't send messages unless you're followed by the person.
Of
So the
course,
only way
of
you
course.
can let them know is if you do it openly. And then, sometimes to me it's a little creepy, but
Yeah, I know what you
uh,
mean. I
because
know what
people
you
don't
mean.
know who we are.
I felt so bad. You guys followed me and were like, oh yeah, you messaged me, but like, hey, like, I'd love to, but I hadn't been announced. I wasn't like allowed to like
Oh, I
confirm.
know. I remember.
I was like months. I was like telling my girlfriend, I feel like such an asshole.
Yeah.
People took photos of us either on set or at work or something, and they got leaked. I think there was someone found out I was playing Fernando on Instagram, and there was like a photo in Oxford. I think in Oxford it was like me, T, Steve, and Alex. You can't say anything. You can't be like, do you know what I mean? And then people start DMing you and stuff, and you're like, I can't say anything. Sorry.
Well, let me ask you this before we end it. And, we normally ask everybody. You ask us what species we would be if Fernando were not a vampire. What other species might you want to be in the Discovery of Witches?
It'd be a demon.
Yeah,
a demon. Yeah, I think so.
It'd be a demon.
Yeah.
What other character would you like to play if you weren't Fernando?
Oh wow, that's a good one. Let me think. I've now got to go through everyone in my head. Everyone else kind of sucks.
No one else? Yeah, that's good.
Like, I'd rather play Fernando than Fernando. Like, I mean, I think Miriam's quite a cool character.
Yeah.
Aisha and I talked a bit about like the fact that Miriam and Fernando are quite old and like have been around, and there's a kindred spirit between the two of them. Maybe Domenico. I think I could see myself playing Domenico, or I could, yeah. Well, no, I lucked out. I got Fernando. I got my favorite character. So I'm very happy.
You did. You got a good one. You got a really
good one. You got one of the best. So wow. Well, I know it's late there for you, and we really.
I'm watching a TV show that actually Tanya's in. Motherland. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, I need to look at it. I need to watch it.
We can't get it here. Is it on Sky? What?
It's on Netflix.
This has been so much fun. You just don't know how.
Honestly, this has been such a pleasure. It's been everything that I hoped for, and actually a lot more, and gone beyond. And
so
great! I'm so grateful. I mean, I know you guys have said you're grateful to me. Like, it's so nice to know that a genre hasn't been whitewashed. So to know that there's a fan base out there that really support, cherish, and champion Black actors in fantasy and other shows is an amazing thing. So I'm really grateful to you guys for that.
Oh, thank you.
Oh yeah, I mean, whatever you're doing, well, we're following you now. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like on Blacklanders, it's not only the fantasy, because I'm a huge sci-fi person. So it's not only just sci-fi and fantasy, but it's also period dramas. We always highlight those that most don't highlight.
Well, we'll be bugging you again around when season 3 comes out.
I'll happily come back on this anytime.
Oh, nice.
Yes, because then we have the constraints of not, being able to talk about it. It would have already aired, so then we can talk about what
I'll give you all of the dirty secrets. I'll lay it all out. Right?
Yeah. So
hey, look, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.